Good evening, Pure. This is Tony, Vice President of Sales. Just want to thank you all for coming out and being a part of that this evening. We've got a lot to do this evening. Really excited because, as you know, these Pure Connect calls are a monthly call that we do. It's our opportunity at corporate to spend some time talking about different topics such as our products or our opportunities, some of our incentives or promotions or programs. Tonight is really special, though, guys. Really excited about tonight because tonight we get the opportunity to share from one of our, not only one of our leaders, but actually our chairman of the Wellness Advisory Board, Dr. Buckner. He's going to be on this evening, and he's going to be talking about one of our newest products. For those of you that were with us at Next Level, the event that PTG put on 2 weeks ago, you had the opportunity to firsthand hear from Dr. Buckner in regards to this amazing new product. But for those of you that didn't get a chance, it's amazing. And tonight we have Dr. Buckner on with us, who is going to take us through this amazing new product. And we're hoping to take some questions at the end. So please, as you're going through the presentation, if there's anything that you can think of, we're going to try and unmute lines and take some questions. So that being said, I want to kick it over to Dr. Buckner. Dr. Buckner, are you out there? Dr. Buckner, if you can go ahead and unmute your line.
Hello.
Hello, Dr. Buckner. How are you doing this evening?
I'm great, Tony. How are you?
Good.
Hello.
Yes, Dr. Buckner, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can.
Great.
I'm having a technical difficulty here getting the video going.
Okay, well, we're going to go ahead. Well, we have the slides up for you, so if you want to go ahead and take us through it, I can be your eyes, and I can definitely click through for you.
Very good. Let me get on the tape here, and in the meantime, I'll try to get my Zoom up and going. Getting to the presentation. My apologies, everyone. I just really rushed in from the hospital literally about 20 minutes ago. I got caught up in the operating room just a little longer than I thought. As y'all can imagine, that's something that can never be rushed. You take as much time as you need to get that job done when you're doing it. I believe I'm looking at the slides now. And Tony, I appreciate you running this. I'll just kind of, I guess, join by audio if that's okay. Everyone, I think, knows can you hear me okay, Tony?
Yes, absolutely.
Great, fantastic. Well, listen, again, sorry, everyone, for spending a couple minutes kind of get going here. But I think most people know my experience. As I said, I rushed in from the operating room literally about 20 minutes ago, and been operating all day. Did 7 surgeries today. Actually started about 6:30 this morning. So, I am a practicing general surgeon. Operate every day, at least 3 or 4 days a week, and in the office a couple days a week. So when I speak, understand I speak from the standpoint of someone who spent a lot of time at the bedside and also a lot of time in the military. So, I do have 2 boards, one in wound care, which really kind of makes me especially qualified, I think, to speak tonight about this new wonderful product we have, Skin Defense, and everything we have to really protect ourselves. So if you'll go on to the next slide, Tony, for me. The seasonal support line that we have is really primarily designed, and in fact, we had a lot of discussion about whether we should call it a seasonal support line, because the concern was people were going to think this was for one or another season. the reality is we're always in a season, right? We're always changing. And as that happens, there's always challenges, whether you're coming into a summer where you're going to be outside a lot more and we're having issues with allergies and scratches and scrapes and bug bites, or whether you're coming into the winter months and looking at the flu season, et cetera. So at all times, we are thinking of, staying healthy, right? And protecting ourselves from whatever might be challenging us. So the seasonal support line, of course, our Immune 6 and Silver, and then our new Skin Defense. So the idea is obviously always protecting yourself from the inside out and the outside in all year round, 365 days a year. Next slide, if you would, Tony. So as we really look at this line of products, there's some that folks are obviously very familiar with. Our protection internally has a lot to do with our products. Obviously, pure nutrition is hugely important, and I'll go to that here near the end and show you a little more detail on that, if you will. The Silver is a product we've had a long time, and I'll say more about that in a second. Clearly, the Silver and the Immune are for internal health and protection, as is really all of our pure nutrition products. Now, understand, the pure nutrition products not only keep us healthy on the inside, but also are great for healthy skin. And of course, as I've said before, and I'll say again, the best defense is healthy skin. And therein comes the external protection. Our Skin Defense is for external protection. It's literally the armor we should put on every time we find ourselves in a situation where we may be threatened by superbugs, viruses, funguses, etc. And granted, they are everywhere. Next slide, if you will, Tony. Increasingly today, we see those external threats. And I'll talk about the details of those in a second. The Silver Spray is, as I said, really about protection from the inside out. The Silver Sol gives you those 10 parts per million, which is a very tiny and dilute concentration of silver. And that's important. That's important so your body, so you can take it in safely and so that you can eliminate it safely. It's for internal use. It has effectiveness against many different organisms, and that's been known really since the beginning of time. Forever, for many thousands of years, folks have known that silver was an excellent product from that standpoint. Now, again, silver is not for external or topical use. You spray the 5 pumps directly into your mouth or water up to 3 times a day, and it can be safely used that particular way. So that's our Silver Spray. Of course, we talked about the other internal protection from the Immune and our other products. Next slide, if we could, Tony. So what about the external aggressors? We know they're everywhere. That is nothing new. I mean, it's gotten worse, though. I'll tell you, there was a time when I never saw someone come in from outside, a healthy individual with an MRSA or VRE infection. Those used to only happen to institutionalized patients or hospitalized patients, but increasingly we are seeing that exact thing happen, just people off the street. So that's become a huge problem. If we go on to the next slide for just a second, Tony. Now, the current problem that we are dealing with so very much, and we see it all the time, is that constant bombardment from the superbugs and the mutating viruses, the funguses. And, most traditional solutions, they involve chemicals. And those chemicals, frankly, break down the barriers that protect us. There was a big article I just saw the other day that talked about how conventional products that we used to clean with do great damage to the lungs. And again, you damage the lining of the lungs, you damage the function of the lungs. And that's one way that the body protects itself. That's one way that we cleanse ourselves is through our lungs. So understand, you have to be very, very careful, what you're putting on your body, what you're putting on the surfaces that you're coming into contact with, what you're putting on those that you love, or you may actually do more harm than good. There is a widespread nature now of superbugs. I mentioned earlier MRSA, VRE, mutating viruses. H1N1 is something everybody knew about as a flu bug. Well, this season it was H3N2, and next season it'll probably be H4N3, and that's going to continue to be the situation because that's what viruses do. That's what bacteria do. They mutate because they're doing the same thing we're doing, trying to stay alive. And as they do that, they're always getting a workaround with traditional antibiotics and traditional chemicals that many people are using, even those that we use in the hospital. Chlorhexidine is something that's used ubiquitously in the hospital to on surfaces and to prep people before surgery. And we're seeing more and more resistance, even to a substance like chlorhexidine. And by the way, the allergic reactions to chlorhexidine are going up dramatically as well. So if you would go on to the next slide, please, Tony. So as we're looking at these bugs and these problems that we're coming into contact with, therein lies the fact that this is perfect timing for skin defense. You know, it is all over the news. It has become very popular to avoid antibiotics. That is considered socially responsible, and I think it's important because we know that antibiotics cause problems. That's why we all take a probiotic, and that's why our probiotic at Pure has a prebiotic to support those good bugs that we know need to be in our gut all the time. In fact, within the last 6 months, the FDA has declared 19 chemicals, and they say that they are NSNE. That means they are neither safe nor effective as over-the-counter antiseptics. Now, understand what that means. The FDA gave these companies 10, 15 years to prove that their products were safe or to prove that their products were actually effective. Guess what? They couldn't do it. They couldn't do it, and because they couldn't do it, they've now banned 19 different chemicals from being sold over the counter as antiseptics. That includes, by the way, povidone iodine, betadine. That includes triclosan, includes Physoderm and Physodex. So those are products that you would traditionally think, oh, these are great, right? These are great for you. You know, these are great to put on to kind of, you know, to clean you up and protect you from bugs, et cetera. Simply not the case. And finally, the FDA, a few months ago, had enough, and they kind of came down on those products and simply said, not over the counter. Interestingly enough, guess what? They can still be used in our hospitals. I think personally, that's because the FDA is afraid. I believe the FDA is concerned about taking all those products out of the healthcare environment because they're kind of what they rely on an awful lot to you know, clean surfaces and to sometimes try to clean wounds. So that is why this particular product that we have in Skin Defense, a safe, natural, non-toxic product, is important and is perfect in 2018. Next slide, Tony, if we could. And that's our Skin Defense. And those of you who are at Next Level in Fort Worth here a couple of weeks ago, oh my goodness, we had a fabulous, really launch of this product. Love this product. I have personally been using this product in my practice for a couple of years now, and I'm so excited now that the folks that we love, the people we love, our IBOs, our friends and family can now enjoy this wonderful solution through Pure. The next slide, if we could. The magic of Skin Defense is this. It is electrolyzed salt water. So get this. You literally take salt water, which guess what? That's most of what our body is made of. And we simply put a electrolysis on salt water. And what that creates is a magical solution of 150 parts per million of hypochlorous acid. And the toxicity of this solution is literally less than water. And I love to tell people this. You know, I tell people, I say, okay, if I start drinking Skin Defense and Tony starts drinking water, guess who dies first? Tony. You know why? He gets water intoxication, hyponatremia, which means low sodium level, and starts seizing. So, and I don't make that point because you're supposed to drink Skin Defense. You're not supposed to drink it. But just let me tell you, that's how non-toxic it literally is. In fact, if you look at our safety data sheet on Skin Defense, it tells you that if it is accidentally ingested, you should drink 8 ounces of water. So it's that safe. You just drink some water if you accidentally ingest it. Really, it's that safe. So, you know, prevention is the key, right? I mean, that's really what we're talking about. So very many things that impact us to make us ill are difficult to kind of get in front of. And by using a product like Skin Defense, you can protect yourself. You can protect your skin, which is your best barrier. And Tony, if you would just go to the next slide, please. You know, when I talk about hypochlorous acid, and I love this solution, you know, the reason is this stuff is literally the same chemical that our body uses every single day when it kills bacteria. And it has since the beginning of time. And, you know, I tell people, they say, well, yeah, Dr. Buckner, this is going to be great stuff until the next good thing comes along. You know, that ain't going to happen because honestly, this is the solution that God put in our bodies that gave our own white blood cells, which fight infection every day, the ability to make. And it makes this magical solution that kills bacteria, funguses, viruses in 6 different ways. And the beauty of killing it 6 different ways, as you can see on the slide here, is there's no workaround. I mean, literally at the end of this solution working on bacteria, fungus, viruses, etc., they're nothing but just ash. Ash can't come back together. Ash can't mutate. And that's the beautiful thing about this solution. Go on to the next slide, Tony. So the hypochlorous acid is really the magical active ingredient in skin defense. Now, understand I say hypochlorous acid, and that kind of freaks some people out. Some people get nervous about the acid word. This has a pH of about 6 to 6.5. That is the same pH of your intact, healthy skin. So don't let that concern you. This is just a little schematic here, kind of showing you how the body every day makes hypochlorous acid naturally when normal functioning white blood cells engulf bacteria, engulf funguses, and engulf viruses and kill them. And for many, many years, since the beginning of time, this has protected us when we kept our health good, when we had great products and we had good nutrition. Next slide, if we could, Tony. So why hypochlorous acid? Well, again, as I said earlier, many, many chemicals have been shown to be very problematic. We know that this particular solution, this chemical, this active ingredient is non-cytotoxic, which that means is it does not kill normal cells. It is not toxic to platelets, leukocytes, fibroblasts, keratinocytes. These are all those things that are trying to heal every wound we have. When you get a scratch, when you get a scrape, when you get a burn, the body's amazing ability is to send signals out. And when it sends signals out, all of these little different kinds of cells and different kind of products come to the surface, come to a wound to heal that wound. Now, then if you pull out the alcohol, the peroxide, the chlorhexidine, or the neosporin or whatever you're throwing on that wound, guess what? You just killed all of those very fine, cells that are coming to the surface to heal your wound. So this particular product, hypochlorous acid skin defense, promotes healing. Mammalian cells, of course, God gave our cells the ability to be resistant from the effects of hypochlorous acid. I don't know of any bacteria, fungus, or virus that's resistant to the effects of this product. This is effective against all those things. It's completely safe to use in sensitive areas. You can use it around the eyes and around the mouth, around the groin area, things where you might get a burn or have a problem. You can use it there and you have no concerns about overuse. You really can't use this product too much. People ask me, well, Dr. Buckner, I should probably only spray it on once or twice a day. No, actually not. I mean, I spray this stuff on myself probably about 50 times a day because, I do it between every patient. I do it after I go to the bathroom. I do it after I, brush my teeth. I do it after I blow my nose. I do it after I get in the car, out of the car, in the gym, out of the gym. I mean, I spray this stuff on my body all day long, and it's safe to do that way. Next slide, if we could, Tony. So why skin defense? Well, again, a lot of these things I've said, but I'll say them again. No harmful chemicals in this solution. It is 99% salt water, and it's that 150 parts per million of that magical solution of hypochlorous acid. I know of no side effects. I've never seen an allergic reaction. I've used this on hundreds of patients over the last couple of years. It has no alcohol, no surfactants. Surfactants are soaps, and soaps are good for some things, but understand they dry the skin and they break down the skin. No antibiotics, no carcinogens. Carcinogens are cancer-causing agents. Never been shown to be that way with this solution. No environmental impact, is completely safe, and no problems. I've never seen a problem from the use of hypochlorous acid product. Next slide, Tony, if we could. So honestly, these things don't exist in my household. And that's because I don't need them. I use skin defense. I don't need alcohol. Now, granted, I have to have alcohol in the hospital, understand, in my office because, they're the powers that be still sort of believe in those products and they are effective at killing some bacteria, but I believe they're also problematic. I certainly would not put them on my children or anybody I love, okay? So I don't put those on my children. I don't put those on my grandchildren. The alcohol, the hydrogen peroxide, the hand sanitizers, I use this to clean my hands. And I believe it does it very, very well. And if you guys can go actually to our website and see some examples of how we showed the effectiveness of skin defense at cleaning a surface. I particularly dislike triple antibiotic solutions, neosporin, bacitracin, etc. Because what you've done with those triple antibiotic solutions, you put 3 antibiotics in a bunch of Vaseline, okay? So most things are resistant to those 3 antibiotics. Most people, by the way, are allergic to one of those 3 antibiotics, and you're suffocating any wound when you put the Vaseline on it. So I'm not really sure what that is good for. I know of no good use for Neosporin, triple antibiotic salve, etc. I just don't, and I tell all my patients that. Next slide. So when should you use Skin Defense? Well, you know, I already said it. I use it in my home every day, especially when guests are coming in and around the holidays, etc. I use it on my children, on my grandchildren. It's a great solution to use on your pets safely. If your pets get scratches, scraps, or scratches, or, you know, hot spots, etc. It's wonderful in that circumstance because, again, it's also safe for them, you know, especially when you travel. And that's why everyone should take advantage of the fact that we have the 8 and the 2 ounce right now. I believe you can still get those together. You need this stuff with you everywhere you go. When we go on an airplane, the first thing Rochelle and I do is we spray down the seat. We spray down the tray table. You know, the tray table is the dirtiest place on the airplane. The next dirtiest place are those handrails where you put your arms, you know. They've actually shown studies that the staff will be alive, as will E. coli, by the way, for about 96 hours on those arm rails, you know, that have a little cloth on them. So that's a very dangerous place, honestly. So we spray those things down, and we spray our tray table down as soon as we get on an airplane. And usually the person next to us asks if we'll spray theirs too. They don't even know what we're using. But again, I said it on the presentation. That's a great opportunity to share Skin Defense and to share Pure with someone. When I'm at work, hey, I have this on my desk. I have it in my locker at the hospital. I use it on my telephones and mouse, keyboard, etc. At the gym, love it. It's fantastic to use after you've worked out or before you work out, or both. And again, especially if you participate in contact sports, you know, those who have children that participate in wrestling and football, soccer, you know, basketball, you know, anytime you're going to be coming into contact, mixed martial arts, and many of those athletes, even at the professional level, are beginning to use a hypochlorous acid product because they understand, one, that their skin's important. That needs to be healthy. It needs to be non-toxic. They understand, two, that they've got to protect themselves. And if they put something on their skin that's problematic, then that's not what they're going for. So, you know, we have seen even at the major collegiate and professional level, athletes' careers ended because of MRSA and staph infections. And we've seen, you know, mutilated bodies, and we've seen amputations because of those superbugs. So again, that's why I think in particular, when you're in those environments where a lot of sweating going on and a lot of bodies coming into contact with one another, you should have your Skin Defense. Next slide, if we could, Tony. And, you know, if you have children in your life, and most of us do, and they may not be our kids, they may be our grandkids, they may be our friends' kids, that's particularly when you need it. You know, when we go to a restaurant, first thing that Christina, my daughter, does is she sprays down the table there because, you know, the kids, if you give the toddler a plate, that's just a Frisbee, right? So what you do is you spray down that surface with Skin Defense. At least that's what we do. And then you just put the food there on the table. I mean, we've proven, I think you've almost got a sterile surface right there. So you put the food on the table, and honestly, that's what we do. So that's why in particular, when you have children, when you're out in public play areas, which we know probably just got all kinds of awful stuff all over them, and kids sneezing and coughing and all kinds of stuff, picking their nose all the time, you know, they're kids, right? Anyway, that's when you need your Skin Defense, right? When you're changing diapers, honestly, you know, that's a perfect time both for baby and mom. Again, this stuff is effective against Candida. That is what causes diaper rash. So I know that's what my babies get. When my grandbabies get their diapers changed, they get Skin Defense, and so does mom or dad or grandma or grandpa, or whoever's changing the diaper. It is wonderful for sunburn, scratches, scrapes, bug bites. The kids get all those things, right? You can spray it on those kids, and you don't have to worry about stinging, burning. You don't have to worry about, oh, can't get it in their eyes. No, you don't have to worry about that with Skin Defense. It's actually safe to use around the eyes. If you're a runner like me and I'm out running and I get out without a hat and do an hour-long run like I did down in Florida at the breast conference this last week, you know, I just spray this stuff over my forehead, and it is immediately soothing. And I'm telling you, that sunburn will be gone the next day. It's amazing how effective this stuff is. Anytime you might think about an alcohol-based product, you should be thinking about Skin Defense. Next slide. So, as I said before, are you an athlete? Well, we all are. You know, I think Coach P has taught us that, right? If you're not an athlete, you should be. We should all think of ourselves as athletes. We should all think of ourselves as trying to remain active and stay in the game, if you will. And if you're in the game and if you're in the gym, you surely ought to be using your skin defense, you know, because not only can you use it on yourself or others who you're coming into contact with, but you're going to get those blisters and scrapes and scratches, et cetera. And as you're exposed to those elements, whether you're biking or running or what have you, you need your skin defense. Next slide, if we could, Tony, please. So we have our regular line. We have our 8-ounce bottles. Now, we have this limited edition bundle, and, folks, you need to get your 2-ounce bottle, okay? I don't know how much longer we're going to have these. I hope we have them forever, but at least for right now, I believe they still have that limited edition bundle. Tony can clear that up for us here in a minute, but we have that 8-ounce and that 2-ounce, and you need that because you need that on the airplane. You need that in your briefcase. You need that in your purse, ladies. You need it in your diaper bag. This is, you know, you need it with you all the time. Well, we also have that bulk bundle. I know that I've already had some doctors, some chiropractors, some folks reach out to me and say, Dr. Buckner, can we get a bulk of this product? Because we want to share it with other people. It's a great way to share the company, and it's a great way to just share a fantastic, healthy solution that everybody will know about one day. I guarantee you, this will be the solution of the future because all those other things are going to go away. People are going to eventually figure it out. They are a little bit at a time. The FDA is helping them a little bit at a time. This will be the solution of the future that we will be using for all the things we're talking about here. Next slide, if we could, Tony. So we have a lot of stuff already. You guys are flyers promoting this. There's 3 videos on our website there, the corporate website. There's frequently asked questions, which I have personally gone through with Darren Blackhurst, and we've answered all of those, you know, using the knowledge on this product. So folks, reach out on those, print those things off, share those with people that you are sharing this business with. And this alone is, I mean, I'd say this about just about any product we have. Honestly, any one of our products is reason enough to be an IBO in Pure because you want these products and you want this solution, or you should, and you want it for people you care about. Next slide, Tony. So, you know, now just about 3 or 4 quick slides to finish up to just kind of really tell you why I believe in this company. And next slide, if you will. You know, I took an oath, and that oath was that I was going to share with people information, and I was going to tell people both things I know and things I don't know. And I know a lot of stuff, but there's a lot of things I don't know. And what I've found as I've been involved with Pure now over about 4 or 5 years is the amazing importance.
Will give no medication will be interested in this patients in the care of human diet and the cause
good of diet, using prevention also to help folks. 1,000 times better to prevent a disease than to try to treat it. Next slide, if we could, Tony. Just a couple more slides, folks, and then if you have any questions, happy to answer those. Really, these last couple of slides are some that some of you all have seen. I love this quote by Thomas Edison. He said this a long, long time ago, and he had it right. He wasn't a doctor, by the way, but he did own more patents than any American or maybe anybody in the world ever. So he was a genius of a man, and he figured out a very long time ago that it was going to be all about diet. It was going to be all about preventing disease to really stay with better health. Tony, we can go on to some questions if you'd like now. I know there's a couple more slides here, but we had a little technical difficulties at the start, which was my fault, and I apologize. But I'm happy to answer any questions if there's a way to open up the lines and let folks ask them.
There is, yes. Thank you, Dr. Buckner. Guys, this is something we would really love to do this evening is allow people to jump on and ask their questions. I did have one under chat, so let me first raise this one for you, Dr. Buckner. This came from Janet Beard, and she was going to ask Dr. Buckner, can you expand on the use for diabetics and for wounds?
Absolutely. This is a wonderful wound care product. And in fact, you will find there are prescription wound care products out there. I don't know of anywhere where you can get this particular solution at this concentration without a prescription from a doctor, honestly, or being in a hospital. So, I mean, this is a hospital grade wound care product, honestly. So I think it is absolutely the best wound cleanser you could ever have. It now there are other measures you take most certainly when you have a wound, especially diabetics, especially diabetic foot wounds, etc. But I will tell you, and I'm boarded in wound care, so I get this, and I interact with my wound care experts at the hospital all the time in the wound care clinic, and they love hypochlorous acid. They understand, those who are on the cutting edge of wound care understand that they should, instead of, people use acetic acid, they use Dakin solution, they use chlorhexidine, they use Physoderm, Physodex, betadine, etc. Honestly, this is 100 times better than any of those things I just mentioned. And the wound care doctors who are at the forefront get that. This is what they use.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Buckner. Any other questions for Dr. Buckner? Please use your chat button. And if you would like to send a question, we will definitely have Dr. Buckner answer it. So please go ahead and on your chat, if you could just write any questions you have for Dr. Buckner. We have one here from Janet Lewis, and that is, Dr. Buckner, have you replaced post-surgical antibiotics with Skin Defense?
Tony, unfortunately, the feds are very involved in our business. You can imagine, right? And so there are regulations and there are report cards that any certified hospital has to account for use of antibiotics during certain operations. And honestly, if you don't, then those weigh heavily against a hospital. They go against a report card that's very important to the federal government, to Medicare, Medicaid, et cetera, and they would threaten certification. So while I personally use this as my go-to, absolutely as a post-surgical wound versus, other dressings versus other products, absolutely I use it, and I know many other practitioners that do. But unfortunately, we're sort of boxed in by the feds right now to use perioperative antibiotics in certain operations. And that's just the reality of the day. I think most people kind of understand that. But I certainly pivot just as quickly as I can to a hypochlorous acid product. Absolutely.
Great. Okay, Dr. Buckner, we have another couple of questions. Brad asked if the presentation will be available for us to review later. It absolutely will. We are recording this, and it will be available. We will put it up on the web, so just bear with us, and we will get that done. Regina asked if this product would help with athlete's foot, peeling skin, and itching.
Absolutely. I have a reason to expect it would help all of those things. Many times itching is related to unhealthy skin, dry skin, etc. This is a hydrating product. This literally hydrates the skin. We've actually even seen a study where hypochlorous acid actually increased the oxygen content of skin. Percutaneous oxygen levels were checked after application, and they stayed up for a period of time. And so absolutely, I believe, by the way, I didn't say earlier, but there is an FDA indication for the use of this product. And this is the first such product I think that we have at Pure, to my knowledge, where we could actually say that the FDA has weighed in and said, absolutely, Skin Defense is safe and effective for first and second degree burns, pressure ulcers, problem skin, etc. So I believe it would be good against athlete's foot because that is a fungal infection. So I think it would be a wonderful product for use there. Certainly much, much better, I believe, than many of the sprays, than many of the gooey things that sometimes just trap moisture. This will dry very quickly. Within 5-10 minutes of spraying, it will dry, and then you can respray as often as you'd like. So it hydrates without really creating sort of unwanted moisture problems like your typical Vaseline-based product would.
Okay, we've got about 4 or 5 more questions, Dr. Buckner. Next question is, my husband had a total knee replacement on Friday. When, if ever, would it be possible to put the spray on his incision?
I'm always careful, Tony, as you know, of giving specific medical advice. And I know certain docs, certain surgeons, they're very compulsive about their wounds, and they may want people to use one thing or another. I will tell you, I absolutely I would use this, personally on my surgical wounds immediately post-op. Honestly, I think patients who've had surgery, the best thing they could do is go to their doctor, show them this product. Now, granted, just like with our other products, right, which we know to be amazingly healthy, All docs don't get it, you know, but I will tell you, those who are on the forefront of wound care and really understand hypochlorous acid would look at this product and would be thrilled to have you using it. I know there's an orthopedic surgeon down in Houston who uses it routinely on all his post-surgical patients and loves the results. So, you know, I would say it's safe to use immediately, but I would say that with caution, that you really, you know, when someone has invested their time and effort in especially a total joint, you really should check with your practitioners, with your surgeon, and run it by them. I think if they look at this product and understand it, they're going to say, oh yeah, absolutely, that's wonderful. But I would use it immediately in my practice. I'll just say that.
Great. Next question. Are there any compliant shareable studies on hydrochloric acid?
Absolutely. You can go to PubMed and look up, and obviously you're not going to go there and put in pure skin defense, but you can absolutely go into PubMed and put in hypochlorous acid, and you will see a number of studies of use in burns, of use in venous stasis ulcers, of use on, it shows the migration of macrophages are better after applying hypochlorous acid. And by the way, those are white blood. Those are the cells that clean up an environment, a dirty environment, a wound, etc. So I would encourage people to, when you want to look at this solution, you should go to hypochlorous acid, Google that, get to PubMed, and actually those studies would be applicable to this solution.
Okay, a couple more questions. Guys, at this point, I'm probably going to close it off. We got about 4 more questions for Dr. Buckner. Dr. Buckner, any clinical trials that show the effectiveness of this product with psoriasis or other skin issues?
You know, it is FDA approved, as I said, for problem skin. I have anecdotally heard about cases of psoriasis, but I absolutely, wouldn't make that claim, because that would be, that would really be taking our FDA approval, if you will, and taking it a step beyond, which you should never do. If you've been privileged to get, that approval, then you should really stick to it. But I will say that anecdotally, in other words, I've heard of individuals getting results. I can't imagine it would ever hurt. And I know many psoriasis medications are extremely harmful in regards to their side effects. So I can't think of any side effect that you would ever see from this. And there's reason to believe it might be helpful for any number of different skin conditions.
Great. Next question. Will this product join other products in the PDR?
I mean, it absolutely should. That's not my call. The PDR is they're a private company and they make their decisions. I can't imagine they wouldn't, because they get, I will tell you, there are a couple of other hypochlorous acid products that are in the PDR. Now, those are by prescription only. And I know one of those is about, I think about $120 for a 2.5 ounce bottle. So extremely expensive medical products by prescription only that have hypochlorous acid in them. And so this could easily join those. And again, that's not my call.
Next is from Sean Springsteen. He says that he has been actively using Skin Defense on an incision from a surgery that he had last week, and he loves it. It's been phenomenal. Thank you for that testimonial, Sean. And Kelly Firestone asked, do you have to let it dry for it to work, or does it kill on contact?
We have evidence that this kills within seconds. So on the other hand, there's no reason to wipe it off. So I would never wipe it off. I think you're just wasting. Now, you can sort of rub it in, right? I mean, that's fine. But I would tell you it kills within seconds of contact. And because it is so very safe and so non-toxic and so non-irritating and never been an allergy I've ever seen to it, I don't know why you'd ever wipe it off. I mean, it will dry in minutes, and it won't, leave a film or a residue. It won't stain anything. Grease spots, etc., like many of the things we've talked about. So I don't know why I'd ever wipe it off. I would absolutely let it dry. But yeah, it's shown effectiveness within seconds of contact.
Great. Well, that is our last question for this evening. Let me just say once again, let's all say thank you to Dr. Buckner, not only for being with us this evening, but really for everything he does. He's truly a champion of Pure and our products, and just an amazing individual. And as our chairman of the Wellness Advisory Board, I think you all agree that we couldn't have a better person as our partner. So thank you, Dr. Buckner. For everyone on this call this evening, we have recorded it. We will be putting it online shortly. Be on the lookout on social media. We'll update once it's up. And thank you for being on this month's Pure Connect call. We do these every month, the second Tuesday of the month at 7 p.m. Central. And every month we look to do a training on whether it's our product or some of our incentives or promotions or programs. And in the past, we've also done leadership training as well. So thank you, everyone, for joining us this evening. And I hope you all have a great night.
Thanks, Tony.